What a head, son! What a head!
Welcome back to Onto the Ball. I'm Scott Nico, and I'm joined, as always, by our resident Manchester United fan, Travis Morgan. We're here to preview Spurs versus Manchester United. Travis, we've been watching football a long time. 30 years, 35 years. I'm not sure I've ever seen a fan base as dejected after a 1-0 home win, you included, against Wolves on Monday night. You think you lost the game 1-0.
I know.
Why are the fans so upset? And is this, as predicted by me, the start of the decline of Casemiro? Or is that just a bitter lemon talking from me?
Bitter lemon, mate. I mean, what a week it's been to start with for United fans. It feels like we've come out the other side of a tumble dryer. It's been crazy this week. I mean, Twitter's not always the best gauge for how a fan base is feeling, but I think it's pretty unanimous that it's been quite a terrible week for United in a lot of senses. Obviously, there's been reports about the sale or the potential lack of sale, the performance on Monday, whether Mount's going to work in this system. There's so many. I think we've got more questions than answers this week from United and how things are going to look going forward. So, yeah, it's been a tough week for United fans. I think we need a performance, and a big performance today. Obviously, the result is the most important thing. But I think the fans just need a little bit of faith, including myself massively. I need to see something on the pitch today that shows we're moving in the right direction in terms of how we want to play longer term. Because I know it's only one game and it's difficult to say that you've seen it, but Ten Hag sort of switched between 2-3 different systems the last year to get the results. And he obviously hasn't got all the players that he wants to move forward. He's added to that this season. And they're going to take a little bit of time to settle. But yeah, I think the performance in some ways is more important than the result today for United.
Oh, absolutely. Well, like you say, you got the result Monday night without the performance. But that isn't enough for Man United fans. Why are they so angry or annoyed at a performance? I don't think I've ever seen as much Twitter talk as the last 5-6 days since that game. Like, it's first game nerves, a few new signings bedding in. Obviously, the injury to Martinez. Is he going to be fit today? Do you know?
He has travelled, so I'm guessing with him travelling today that he's going to be involved in some capacity. I don't think he would travel being on the bench unless we're really struggling for fitness. But I think the reason for it is because I think United they've been down this yellow brick road before. Remember when I talked about the yellow brick road, straight Mary Poppins? And we've been down this road before. I mean, all smokes and mirrors with the owners, and not just the owners, but what's underneath the owners more for me, like Murto and stuff. And I know the Glazers employ these people, but we were promised change, like, oh, we're going to act really well in terms of departures, and we're going to really be slick in the transfer market, and we're not going to be held to ransom, and all these things that Ed Woodward was so incompetent. You would have thought that he was going to change, and there was signs of change. Like, we did a lot of the business, the bulk of our transfer business fairly early by Man United standards. There wasn't much haggling over the fees, a couple of bids in, and we were getting deals, and it was like, all right, it seems like we're heading in the right direction in terms of the recruitment. We wanted Ten Hag's targets, we were getting them. Then all of a sudden, Mount looks like he's not fitting in. A striker's not played yet because of his injury.
And I love this. After one game, he's getting written off.
Well, not written off, but I mean, it's just so typical United. Like, anything you could envisage not happening in a transfer scenario, it always happens at United. Like, we buy a striker and he's got a back problem. Do you know what I mean? I know it's a
squad.
No, he's not going to be ready. He's not going to be ready.
He not?
No, he's not going to be ready. No. He is in training, but I don't know if he's training with a group yet. I've seen some shots of him on the website, and he's training on his own. But again, it's one of those things, like, the departures are the biggest thing that's winding the fan base up at the moment. Harry Maguire, Donny van der Beek, Eric Bailly, players like that who haven't gone. And I think it's just taken a little bit longer than it should have. And I think that's what where the frustration lies, because the fact that we haven't sold Van der Beek and we haven't sold Maguire, they're potentially blocking transfers coming in. like Todibo or Pavard or Amrabat. We've not got those deals over the line because we haven't got those players out, and I think that's what's the big bugbear at the moment.
It's a double-edged sword, though, isn't it? Because Man United are renowned for being fantastic payers, aren't they? They'll bring in someone like a Mason Mount, like you say. He wanted 250k at Chelsea. He wasn't getting. He's come to Man United. He's more than likely getting 250k at Man United.
Yeah,
but it works both ways. Double-edged sword. When you want rid of them, Donny van der Beek, Harry Maguire, Eric Bailly, even they're going to be on good wages, aren't they?
Mm.
And when you're asking them to leave the club and join a club on half the money, it makes it harder to get rid of them. And that's where the transfer policy for Man United is a little bit flawed. It's all right paying the high wages for the certified ballers are going to be there for 5 up to 10 years. It's like pay the money. Do you know what I mean? You'll always beat a Liverpool to a top quality player, as Chelsea are doing now. But when it comes to getting rid the other end, you're coming unstuck. And Harry Maguire's the perfect example of that, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I think the attitude of the player is very important in the situations, and I think you have to take each individual on its merits as well. I don't think the fan base have got an issue with Donny van der Beek. I think he's come in at United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he's not really been given a fair crack at the whip, really. Even under an ex-manager in Ten Hag, he doesn't even seem to fancy his own player, and he shouldn't be forced to. I think the league's different to where Ten Hag's been before, but the fan base, again, like I was just saying, they haven't got an issue with Donny van der Beek. He's openly admitted he wants to play football. He wants to play games. He's not getting that at United. I think it's about just constructing the best price from a buying club, and I think he'll be on his way and he'll get his best wishes. Same with the likes of Eric Bailly. But it's the Maguire that I think the fan base have got the issue with. Sam Allardyce actually come out with some quotes today saying that he knows Maguire's agent. And Maguire wants somebody higher level than West Ham. But, but this is the thing, like if no one's coming in for you, you can't just demand like to go to Real Madrid or something. Like
I tell you what, we can never doubt his confidence, can we?
Mate,
he's got a very high opinion of himself.
This is it, and I think that's what's rubbing fans back up the wrong way. I think he's got a handsome offer, because if you look at West Ham before last season, they weren't always fighting for relegation. They were always in and around the Europa League's places. They were always a club that finishes between, I'd say 7th and 9th every season, above average, above mid-table. He's been offered the captaincy. He's going to get paid 100 grand a week. No, he has. Like Maguire, David Moyes has already said he would make him captain.
Who is the captain? Kurt Zuma?
It was Rice, wasn't it? But I don't know. Yeah, so they haven't. I don't know if they've renamed one yet or what. But there was strong rumors that Moyes was going to make him captain. He's going to get paid at least 100 grand a week from West Ham, plus a severance package to leave United. I'm not saying it's dreams come true, but come on. Like, it's beyond his wildest dreams, really, that he's getting that sort of offer at 30 as well.
Yeah.
And he's still declining it. Like, I think that is taking the piss for me. I think that's taking the mick.
At 30, and his stock couldn't be lower.
I know.
Obviously, he's got the little olive branch of, I still get in the England team, but there's not a man on this planet other than Gareth Southgate that knows why he's still in the England team. So obviously, he's got that olive branch, but other than that, his stock is so low. You think, if he, like you said in your short the other day, if he's serious about playing, you've got to make a bit of a personal sacrifice. Now, I don't think he should be cutting his wages in half. As I've said on the last stream, Man United should be making up that gap with a bit of a payoff, whether that's 5 million, 10 million out of the 30 million transfer. I don't know, but at the same time, I definitely think something will happen. He will not still be a Man United player on the 1st of September.
No, I don't believe he will either. Because like you said, I think Southgate's position with Maguire is becoming more untenable. Like, he literally can't not start any Premier League games and then just waltz straight into the Euros. That would be a joke. Like, it just won't. They just won't stand for that. The fans, everybody associated with England, it's just not fair. And I think it's got to the point now where people, I think, just feel sorry for Maguire. So they just say, "Oh no, he's decent. He's this, he's that," but he's not actually decent. Like, if you watch him with your eyes open, he's not playing well. Like, you don't have to pretend he's playing well.
But you get a certain section of the fan base are just diehard supporters of the club and the players, don't you?
Blind
and that can dilute the feeling. within the fan base online, definitely on the forums, Twitter, etc.
Just to touch on that as well, the Maguire thing. I've heard he's not travelled today, so that could be a statement. He wasn't pictured on the team train. I think they got the train down there, and he wasn't with the squad. So unless he's making his own, unless he's getting a private Boeing 747 down there,
maybe
I don't know.
Maybe his head couldn't fit on the carriage.
I don't know what to put it down to, mate. Unless he's like getting chauffeur driven down there or something because of his ego.
No, but to be fair, we did comment Monday night, didn't we? It made no sense why he was even on the bench. Like, surely when you're the subject of an offer and negotiations, haggling on price, haggling on contract, for him to be on the bench made no sense at all. Like I said, I think that was a sign to West Ham that if you're not going to pay up, or even to Maguire himself, if you're not going to move on and take the wage cut, you're part of the plans, you're on the bench, and this is what the next 9 months of the season will look like. You sat on the bench. Yeah.
I think if he isn't in the squad today, I think that's pretty damning. Like, I think Ten Hag would have had enough and said, there's no more Mr. Nice Guy. You've got to force his hand now if he's not in the squad today. And I think surely his agent must be saying, you're not going to get a squeeze here. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're in talks with Johnny Evans to sign him on a 1 year. Like that, to me, if we sign Johnny Evans, it can't get any more embarrassing for Maguire. Like, literally, what else needs to happen apart from someone physically putting him in a straitjacket and launching him to London? Like, what else can we do than that? Do you know what I mean? There's literally nothing else we could do.
It's a game of poker going on for sure. I'm just going to jump in the comments. True Gooner, Josh is on. Josh, my man. Spurs 3, Man United 3. We're going to get onto our predictions soon. Wow. But that's a big shout. Goals galore. Stragsporg, Steve is in. Big Steve, how you doing, mate?
How you doing,
We're in a group chat together. Hope you're good. I'm going for a very crazy result. 4-1 Spurs. Steve has obviously watched the Man United game Monday night and seen Wolves carving through the Man United midfield and defence like a hot knife through butter. So
that would batter me. That would 4-1 Spurs. I don't know what I'd do. That would be difficult to recover from. That one. Jeez.
Obviously, that'd be a heavy defeat, Trav. But would you be shocked?
Not with the way we defended on Monday night. I mean, if we defend Monday night, Spurs will have a lot of chances, and like you said, they'll be more clinical than Wolves. Wolves literally just lacked cutting edge and someone who could put the ball in the back of the net. And if Spurs have got the shooting boots on and we try this 2 high number 8s, basically playing 5 at the back and 5 up front, we'll get ripped apart. If Ten Hag's got anything about him, there's just no way he can approach the game in the same way. There's just no way he can do that. Whether it's a personnel change or a tactical change, something has to change going into today.
Steve says Maguire lacks ambition, simple as. And that's what it is, like we just alluded to there. And there comes a point, especially when he's just turned 30, like you say, this is a crossroads in his career. If he's definitely still got England ambitions, which he has, you're going to have to sacrifice something to make this move happen, to kickstart your career. If he was at 31, 32, there wouldn't really be much of a decision to make with the Trav. No. You must be thinking about the decline in the end of your career when you hit 32, but at 30, it's kind of now or never. He cannot afford to be on the Man United bench for the next 12 or 24 months. Is it 1 or 2 years left? Man United normally do a 5-year deal and then the option for the 6th, or is it definitely two more?
Yeah, 2025 it ends. Well, this is the thing, like, he thinks he's being all smug sitting there because of the money. When he's 32, when he's available on a free, who does he think is going to take him? Real Madrid? Like, does he think he's still going to be the same player in 2 years? Like, he's not good now, so he's going to be even worse in 2 years. And he's got no pace now, so he's going to be even slower. Like, I didn't even think it's possible to be slower than he is. But I'll be scared to see what he's like playing at 32. He'll probably wrap up when he's like late 33, 34. Just
about to say that. When you say, like, let's say he left Man United at 32 on a free transfer, I mean, what kind of club would he be going to? I know my opinion of him is rock bottom. You're probably got a higher opinion of me, obviously, being a Man United player, even though you want him out. But, you know, you're talking championship clubs, surely. And then you could be talking, what, 30 grand a week, 40 grand a week? So a 4-year deal at West Ham now on 100k a week, that's him safe for the next 4 years. So I bet that's what Man United are pointing out to him. It's not just about you wanting to pay off for the next 2 years of your contract. It's also about what you'll be earning for the next 4 years. But as I say, I predict a breakthrough in the negotiations. It's a game of poker, and someone's going to break and snap and make it happen. That's my exact reasoning. Wolves couldn't finish the dinner. I trust Maddison's son, maybe even Porro, who's a good finisher. Richarlison as well. Richarlison will be playing, won't he?
Yeah,
Kulusevski,
they've got
Son,
options.
Maddison. Yeah. It's going to be a great game. I'm going to miss it. As I was out this morning pretending I'm a ref. I was reffing one of our girls' games for the team above us, and then tonight I'm being a fake DJ and pretending to be a DJ at my mate's 18-year-old twin girls party. Yeah, so I'm out at a barbecue tonight with my headphones on, pretending to be a DJ. So I'm actually going to miss the game and the Man City game, which I'm gutted about. Maguire reminds me of Winston Bogart at Chelsea way back, happy to rake in the cash from the bench. That's a great shout, Steve. Who remembers Winston Bogart? I think he might still be at Chelsea, Steve. I remember he sat out about the last 5 years of his contract, not even playing. He might still be there. Him and Hakim Ziyech. Dan reminded me that Hakim Ziyech is still at Chelsea. I forgot all about him. I thought he was long gone.
He's been on so many loans.
Trav, is it crazy to think that Ten Hag might even be, or is it shouldn't be crazy? He's away from home now. Will Ten Hag be looking at a change in formation or a change in shape or even a change in personnel from that first game? And obviously what I'm alluding to, will Mason Mount be benched after his no tackles, no assists, no goals, no duels won, no headers?
I think Ten Hag's quite stubborn. What he'll do is he'll do everything in order to prove Mount can fit in some capacity. So there is this option. I mean, in pre-season, we did play in a few different types of ways to try things out. And one of the things he did quite a lot last season was put Bruno sort of on the right wing and play like an extra midfield player in there.
Fred,
yeah. Like Kobe Mino was playing a lot in pre-season along with Casemiro, with like Mount in front and Bruno on the right. So we could see something like that, and Anthony might make way on the bench, and he could use him as an option off the bench with Rashford on the left and Sancho as a false nine, or vice versa, or Garnacho even. The interesting one is whether he continues with Rashford through the middle, because we didn't get the best out of Rashford on Monday. I know he's come under a lot of criticism about how he retains the ball, and rightly so. Do you know what? Rashford doesn't always make the best decisions at all with his decision making. But I keep saying that if you put Bukayo Saka up front all season for Arsenal, there's no way he's having the same impact, and the team doesn't have the same impact because they haven't got a focal point. So for some reason, why people think Rashford through the middle should be R9, like the Brazilian R9. I don't get it.
Pick it up and run.
Exactly. Like, he's just not a striker, and it's not fair on him. But because we've not had a good striker for so long, he's sort of like been that stopgap that we've sort of been able to rely on because he's so productive in terms of numbers, but his play isn't always as good. So personally, I think there'll be a couple of changes today. I'm not 100% sure where, but if I was to stick my neck out, I would say that Anthony will retain his place. I think Sancho will come in as the false nine with Rashford on the left, and Garnacho will probably make way because he's young, and I think it's easier to rotate a developing player and go with experience. And then I think he'll go with the same midfield, but the difference will be is Mount will be more of a deep lying playmaker and look to get the ball off the centre halves and look to start attacks from deep rather than his starting position being higher. And that's what I think the tactical tweak will be.
If Dan from Two Blues was watching this stream, he'd be firing in the comments right now at you saying Mount's going to start attacks from deep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ten Hag's embargoed press conference, the bit that doesn't get released to 10:30, he said it himself. They asked him at length about Casemiro and Mount, and his answers were he didn't feel Casemiro was isolated. I thought he was lying through his teeth. Yeah, I thought he was just
the Twitter compilation proved it.
Exactly. Ten Hag lies a lot as well. He lies a lot. So I think he was lying about that. You could see, every man and his dog could see that he was on his own and he needed help. So yeah, I think we'll see a tweak. He was saying as well, like with Eriksen, it took him time to adjust. He's never played as a deep line playmaker in his career, and it took him time to adjust to that role, and it's going to be the same for Mount. So if he's saying it's going to take time for Mount, he deserves the time. So we'll see what happens. 8 to 10 games in that role as a deep lying player and see how he gets on. I do worry about the physical side though, off the ball, what he's going to be like in like physical duels, tackles and stuff like that. I have no doubt about his ability on the ball, but off the ball is the main concern.
You know, I've always been a McTominay fan. Is he fit? And
Yeah,
surely he's a better option away to Spurs. McTominay in there with Casemiro. And even if that even means Mount benched for the second game of the season, then so be it.
That's exactly what I would do if I was.
Is he fit?
Yeah, he's fit. He's fit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's fit. And I mean, I'm not saying it's tailor made for him, but you do need that physicality, those legs in there in an away game like this, because we're going to be doing a lot of running. They've got Basuma in there, obviously Oliver Skip as well. Bentancur's injured, I think, but like you said, Maddison's going to be in front of that as well. So there's plenty of legs in there, plenty of quality for Spurs. Games are won and lost in midfield, and we've got to be able to compete today. Like you said, earn that right to play, really put a foothold in it. And it might be a case of Spurs, you don't know how they normally will set up with pressing traps. They know we can't play out of the back awesomely well. I know we've got a goalkeeper that can do it, but can the rest of the players do it consistently? And I expect Spurs to sort of like squeeze us high today and try and force mistakes high up the pitch and stop the likes of Mount and Bruno getting on the ball. I think they'll try and press high today.
They'll have watched obviously Monday night and be rubbing their hands together at this, welcoming you to White Hart Lane. They'll be right up for this. Steve says Ten Hag should just move Maguire's shirt to the under 23 locker room. Happened to Schweinsteiger and Victor Valdez, if I'm not mistaken. And that's just it. There's more than one way to skin a cat, isn't there? I don't know if Ten Hag is too much of a gentleman to do that, Trav, would you say? But Chelsea are certainly doing it with Lukaku at the minute, aren't they? He's training on his own or with the youths. Basically, you're not welcome within the squad. We want you to leave, find an exit. That's always an option for Ten Hag to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think a lot of the fan base are asking for that. I personally would do it as well. The only danger with it is, and this isn't relating to Maguire, is because Varane's so injury prone, there's a possibility Maguire might get games. And that's what scares me. Like, unless Ten Hag feels like he can't get a replacement, or he might not get a replacement, or he's not 100% sure he can replace Maguire, I think he's sort of caught between a rock and a hard place of mistreating him to that degree. That I think he's made it evidently clear that he wants rid. He wants to get rid. The club have accepted the bid. The club know they want to get rid of him. It's all about that difference in wages, and hopefully sooner rather than later, the club can sort that out.
Obviously, it's a bit easier for Chelsea to do that with Lukaku because they've literally signed about 25 players, haven't they? So they've got the squad to do it. Ravi's joined us again. Ravi's a regular. How you doing, brother? Thanks for joining in again. Big up back to you, mate. Question: How well do you see Spurs doing off the ball versus United? That's one thing we haven't seen yet. Who did they play last week? Was it
Brentford?
Brentford
away in the due to all. Yeah, it's a good question. I actually see Spurs sort of letting us have it, like trying to play out, and they'll press high. That's what I'm saying. They'll encourage the fullbacks to get on the ball. Wan-Bissaka not comfortable. They'll probably like half press the centre half, so we don't play through the likes of Martinez. He's very comfortable on the ball. They'll try and usher the ball out to our right hand side. Varane, Wan-Bissaka not really the most comfortable on the ball. And try and play through Casemiro. I know once the ball went into Casemiro a few times against Wolves, he lost it, not really checking his shoulder, doesn't really look fully fit. He's not played a lot of this pre-season as well. So I think that's where Spurs will try and catch us out, try and lock on to the likes of Casemiro, Varane, Wan-Bissaka, encourage those to have the ball, try and press high and win it up, and try and take advantage from there. So that's where I think a lot of their press will come.
It's going to be a massive season for Richarlison as well, isn't it? Obviously, with Kane, the talisman, leaving the club, obviously that's an opportunity for the rest of the squad to step up and make the position their own. Definitely Richarlison. Son likes it through the middle, but not so much an out-and-out striker. I know they've been linked with Lukaku, haven't they, on loan? I don't know if that's got any legs or it's just rumour. I don't know if Lukaku's even fit from the pictures I've seen, but Ange Postecoglou, obviously I've tipped him not to be first manager sacked, but I've said no manager can succeed at Spurs, and he's going to be the latest in a long line. But I'll be interested to see how he does, definitely in this game, because Man United, after Monday night, they look like they're there for the takings, and you've got to win your home games. So it's going to be an absolute cracker, and I can't believe I'm missing it. Question, who for Spurs and United in the midfield link up well with the forward attacks? Trav, we spoke about that a minute ago. Obviously, Mason Mount is trying to be that link up to the forward attacks for Man United, but it looked disjointed. Is that fair to say, Monday night? Disjointed? Ravi, also let us know in the comments your prediction for the score, mate. Sorry, Trav.
No. I think for Spurs, Maddison's a great signing. Like you could even see in that, you can see in that first game how he's going to link the midfield and the attack perfectly. And he's in the thing is, he's in his correct position. He played there for Leicester. That's exactly what he did. And Spurs were sort of crying out for that creative link. I bet he wishes Harry Kane was still there. Do you know what I mean? Them two in tandem would have been perfect. But I think Richarlison actually does deserve his chance. They've spent a lot of money on him. He plays through the middle for Brazil and he does really well. He's a clever player. I actually like him. Sometimes his attitude deserts him a little bit and his temperament's not always the best. But I think he's a good player. He can score goals given a run in the team. He's never really had a run in the team. He might have just needed a year to settle into the environment, and we'll see how he does this season. But I actually personally like him as a player. But in terms of United, I think for today for United, it all depends on who we start in midfield and who we start up front. I've said it categorically, like even from before Ronaldo, United haven't had a proper centre forward at the club since Lukaku. Like Weghorst just doesn't count. Like it just doesn't count. Ronaldo.
I've even seen links to Lukaku coming in on loan.
No,
there's no truth to that, surely.
I hope not. We can't be going back to these ex-girlfriends again, man. It's just killing me, man. Forget these ex-girlfriends. You just got to move
ex-girlfriends on loan as well.
On loan, I know. We just got to move on from these ex-relationships, man. They're just no good, mate. You just got to move forward. Hopefully, Højlund's a match made in heaven. We're engaged to him now. We've just got to get that marriage going, and that's it. Like, just wait for him to come back. It would have been nice if we had a more experienced player, striker in there as well, just to take that pressure off him so he could transition properly. But yeah, just no things of the past. We just can't go down that road anymore. I don't want to see any more ex-players. We just got to move forward now.
There's so much pressure on Højlund, isn't there, to hit the ground running? Is that fair on a 20, 21-year-old? Who knows? But when you come in for big money, he needs to make an impact big. And obviously being injured at the start of his Man United career is helping no one. And I always remember we bought Andy Carroll, Trav.
Yeah.
And he was injured for about the first 3-4 months. He didn't make his debut till April, and we signed him the end of January. When you get in a new young centre forward, you just want them straight in the team, hit the ground running, grab an early goal, confidence boost straight away. But he'll be kicking his heels on the sideline. Steve says Lukaku does not fit Ange Ball at all. It ruins squad morale during a rebuild and culture change for Spurs. Absolutely, it's definitely on loan as well. It's a bit like you're going to bring in some dead cat on loan, put him up front when you've got other players that can play up front. I don't know what that would do to the morale in the dressing room. Steve, also let us know your score prediction, or did you say it earlier? I think you did.
Postecoglou does not play with a Lukaku.
4-1 Spurs.
He likes his strikers mobile, hungry to press, that type of striker. Lukaku is the total opposite. So yeah, it just wouldn't fit. I think the Spurs fans are desperate. They've got this 100 million now. Not Spurs fans, the club. I think the fans think that the club just gone after just blow it on anyone. They can be calculated. Like you said, they've got Richarlison. Worst case scenario, they can play Son through the middle for a bit until the right player becomes available. They don't need to rush with that 100 million. We've seen plenty of clubs making mistakes. So they don't need to go and do that. But a lot of the top strikers, like, well, I say top strikers, but the younger ones who were coming through, like your Højlunds, your Ramos as well, who went to PSG, Kolo Muani, those types of players, they're like gone now off the market. So it's hard. Like, it's who do you take a punt on? I think Evan Ferguson's probably the next one from the Premier League at Brighton. He's not going to be cheap at all. I know they've
already quoted 100 mil plus, haven't they?
This is what I mean. The striker market's dead. Like, you might, if you're going to spend 100 million, you might as well just go and try and get Osimhen. He's obviously going to have the pick of any club he wants when he leaves Napoli, because Champions League, the status, playing at Napoli already. He's not going to go to a club that's not in the Champions League. So I think that sort of counts Spurs out of it. But yeah, going back to the comment from Daniel, the Lukaku just doesn't suit Spurs at all.
Yeah, that comment was from Steve.
Steve, sorry.
Ravi says 3-2 Spurs. He's given a reason 3-2 based on how Spurs played versus Brentford. That was a great game. That was. Oh yeah, it was Sunday, wasn't it? All the goals were scored in the first half. Ravi says he'd start Garnacho. He needs minutes. I don't know. Did you watch Monday night, Ravi? Garnacho was so wasteful. He'd do a trick or two on the left-hand side, and you think, here's a player, no end product. And I actually said to Trav when we started the live watch-along second half, I'd probably take Garnacho off. I think he did come off, didn't he, Trav?
Yeah, he come off. He doesn't need to play every game. I mean, I'm not against him starting, but I just think, like you said, that we shouldn't have to feel pressured to play him every single match. Like, we shouldn't. We should have plenty of options who are playing well enough to be able to leave him out, and he should be learning off people in training all the time and stuff. And he's still a young lad. So personally, as a fan, I don't want to see any pressure on him to be playing. But if he is playing and he is in the first team and Ten Hag trusts him, then he's got to deliver. Do you know what I mean? If he's going to be the main guy, then and Ten Hag's putting him on that pedestal, then he has got to perform, because that's the expectation levels he's setting for himself.
Ravi's just asked about Malacia. That's a good question, Ravi. I was going to ask you about him himself. Obviously, when he came in, it was like, look, he's a top quality left back, but so Shaw. What you want is someone to push Shaw. The next minute, Shaw's turning up with a near six pack. So Malacia has done that, but then we haven't heard from him much. Is he injured?
Yeah,
you just say he's not fit.
He's had a thigh injury all preseason, started preseason in training, and I think he's not played all preseason, so he wouldn't be thrown straight into that Spurs game. I don't even know if he's back in training. I don't think he is back in training yet, because I think Forest next week would be the ideal game for him to be back on the bench if he is fit. But I think, I think he's not going to be seen for another few weeks yet.
And he's second fiddle to Shaw comfortably anyway, isn't he? It's like I just said, Shaw's really pushed on since he joined. Steve says he disagrees personally with the striker market being dead. If you have proper scouts, you'll find someone. We were banging on and on about this in the group chat all week, weren't we, Trav? Where's our scouting networks? Why are we not picking up these players from South America like Brighton do across Europe, pulling out? Even in the French league, we were referring to Cheikh Doucouré of Crystal Palace. They signed him for 18 million 12 months ago. Like, why ain't Liverpool and Man United all over these types of players? Why are we not engaging with their agents to take a look at them? Because that's how it's all driven, isn't it, Trav?
What I meant by that, Steve, and Steve's right. I think if you have got good scouts and good networks, you can bring players in. What I meant is like prominent names that just like sort of off the top of your head. If
to appease the fans,
this is what I mean. Like, straight away, players like Caicedo, exactly, mate. Players like Caicedo, Alvarez, and all that, before they came to the league, no one knew who they were. That's what I mean by that. But no, Steve's right. The scouting's key at clubs. A lot of clubs have that model where they'll go for certain types of players or players from a particular continent or region. Like a lot of the South American players, Brighton tend to get them at good young ages, develop them and sell them on for big players like your McAllisters, your Caicedos and stuff like that. And they're going to continue to do that because it's a self-sustaining model. But it depends what your targets are and your pressure are. The pressure is on your club, and like you said, appeasing the fans. If United were to have a model like that where they're bringing in players for like 4 or 5 million and trying to develop them, that's not going to wash with any of the top six.
And also at the same time, the selling club, if Brighton come calling, Brighton will be honest about it. We're going to buy him for 5 million. If he's a success, we'll sell him for somewhere between 50 to 100 million. Man United comes sniffing, or Liverpool for 5 million, because it's Man United and Liverpool. It's like, oh, you want him? It's 25 million.
Yeah.
So you're paying 25 million for a prospect.
Yep.
Ravi says he agrees not to overplay Garnacho to burn him out. Absolutely. It's a squad game, and he is still young, up and coming player, but he's a massive talent. There's no denying that, even putting our rivalry to one side. Fair enough. Didn't mean to misinterpret your comment.
Oh, no, you didn't. No, you definitely didn't misinterpret it, Steve. No, what you said was right. I think you made a great point about the scouting. I think it's so important. And I think Manchester City, I know everyone talks about their spend and them ruining the market and stuff, but I think where they get it so correct is their directors of football and their scouts, it's in such a good sync. They all know what type of players are going to fit the system. And 9 times out of 10, that's why all their signings fit in, or the players that they develop and they come through. Like this Cole Palmer now from the academy. He's played a couple of games and he just looks like Mahrez. Like, do you know what I mean? He's a kid. It's just mad how they just keep rolling off this carousel of players. Players like, I keep referring back to Nathan Ake, Akanji, players that were on the scrap heap, got relegated at Bournemouth, come in and they look like world beaters. And it's because Pep's main job is to coach, and then he's got people taking care of the business, and they know exactly what he wants. And it's the club's envy. Liverpool had it with Michael Edwards and stuff, the Manes, the Salahs, the Alissons, and the Van Dijks. I know they paid a lot for them players. Even Jordan Henderson, Gini Wijnaldum, all of those players, they just fitted into a system, and all Klopp had to do was coach those players. That's the missing link for United at the moment. That bridging that gap between what Ten Hag needs and the value in the market is what we're missing massively. And I'm not trusting John Murtagh and his team to do that 100% successfully. That's why you get a lot of hit and misses at the minute.
Travis, this is our podcast, and obviously we can say what we want. And obviously no one wants to listen to us being all nice and Magnolia. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Go on.
Is it fair to say you've been doubting Ten Hag over the last couple of weeks and thinking maybe his signings ain't all that, and Ten Hag is making a hash of his Man United career? Is the doubt creeping in over Ten Hag and the long-term future of him as a Man United boss?
There are some doubts. Yeah, I'll be honest. There are a few doubts, but I think it's more, I don't want to hear the excuses for him. Like, on Monday night, we played Wolves. They're tipped to be relegated. Do you know what I mean? They're going to be near the bottom of the league all season. So he plays his first choice midfield and we get battered all game. And then the day after, I'm seeing all over Twitter, oh, the Glazers this, the Glazers that. I'm like, I'm not having it no more. Do you know what I mean? He's got his first choice team out there, bar Hoyland. There's literally nothing else apart from barring a couple of signings who we might or might not get. If he doesn't get them signings, I still expect to see a much higher level of performance than what I'm seeing. So the bee in my bonnet comes with, there are a few doubts, but it's more an annoyance of like the excuses and the fan base and listening to all that noise all day, every day on the likes of Twitter and stuff like that. I just want him to crack on. Do you know what I mean? Pep cracks on. Yes, he gets players and that, and they've got an operation that's slick. But I'm sure there will have been times where Pep doesn't get the players that he wants. All managers in the same boat. Jurgen Klopp, Pochettino, they're all going to be in the same boat. So no excuses now. After this year, he'll have 2 years in the job. He will have assembled his squad. I want to see us moving forward. That's it. There's no excuses, mate.
I like it. Well answered. The jury's kind of out, but yeah, it's his team. So
yeah, it's
going to be almost a watershed season.
Like we signed Mason Mount, and now people are begging, killing down the place for Amrabat. I'm like, well, we just spent 60 million on a midfielder. Where's Amrabat playing? Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, we should be getting rid of McTominay, get Gravenberch, get Zinedine Zidane, get R9, when's it going to end? Like, how many? We just want player after player. We just want the shiny new toy all the time. I'm like, where's the coaching, man? Like, I want to see something on the pitch. Like, I'm not bothered about players that don't play for us. I'm on about the players that play for us.
I've been slagging you off for looking to replace Casemiro after 12 months. Now I'm going to be slagging you off for looking to replace Mason Mount after 3 weeks.
I'm fed up with it, mate. I want to see some performances, man.
Ravi says United looking to sell Martial, and would Sancho be best suited in the midfield, in the middle? Well, Martial, we spoke about it Wednesday night was the podcast. He's leaving on a free, isn't he? Is he in the last year of his deal? Are they just looking to get him off the book?
I think he is in the last year of his deal. But he might not be, actually, because I don't think there's any desperation to sell him, to be fair. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Martial, to be honest. I couldn't tell you. What I do know is he's going to get at least 12 injuries this season, which is going to keep him out for most of the games. That's the only thing I can guarantee about Martial, is that he's going to be injured a lot of the time. So nothing else. Contract, anything. I literally don't know. when he's fit, I like him. When he's not fit, he's useless. And that's it about Martial. Simple.
Get him out.
Yeah.
Maxine Penn's just joined. I'm not sure I've ever seen you comment
Hi,
before, and I'm
Maxine.
not sure I'll ever see a comment like this again, but I'll read it out anyway. I like Taylor Swift, but if Gareth Southgate comes in, well, I'm not sure what that's about, Maxine. Steve says, I think Ten Hag is screwed under Glazers and the structure. That's why he's going with familiar face like Anana, Martinez, Anthony. That's a point, isn't it? He's basically rebuilding Ajax 2.0, but in Manchester, isn't he?
Great point, Steve. What I think's happened is when Ed Woodward was in charge, the managers didn't have as much power as they probably should have. So they were getting a lot of deals over the line for like commercial purposes, like your Ibrahimovic's, Pogba's, all shirt sellers. Now he's gone and it's Murta in charge. What he said is, the fans want the manager to have all the power and the say. Let's give him all the power. And now he's just signing ex-players that he's worked with at Ajax or players that he knows, like Mason Mount, who impressed him while he was on loan at Vitas Arnhem when he was 19. So he's like, there's no balance in between. Like, we need a competent person in Murta's role who's going to take the reins and work with the scouts to know what the team needs. And that, again, I've just stressed that, but that's exactly what we're missing.
I didn't even know that Mason Mount played under Hag at Vitesse Arnhem.
No, I don't think he
something new every day.
I think he played against one of Hag's teams and he was on loan at Vitesse. So he played against Mason Mount and he impressed him. So probably from that point, about 7 years ago, he's you'll sign for me one day, and this is it. Like, it's not creative enough. It's literally not creative enough. Like, all the signings we've
60 million's looking big right now, isn't it? I know that's crazy after one game, but we're allowed to make crazy comments. But Ravi says Amrabat would cook for Man United. It remains to be seen, Ravi. No one's seen or heard much of him since the World Cup. Obviously, we don't watch much Italian ball, but Liverpool are heavily linked with him as well. And after the way our rebuild's gone and the way we've just signed Wataru Endo, and this is a good point from Steve in terms of the scouting, you know, these little gems are out there. And me as a Liverpool fan, I have written this Endo off before he's even kicked a ball just because he's 30. Just because he only cost 16 million. So, you know, I'm a bit of a hypocrite there saying that I want the scouts to get out and look for these little nuggets when I'm not even prepared to give a player a chance. But let's see how he does in a Liverpool shirt. Let's see if I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong. I hope he's like James Milner and he has a good 4 or 5 years with Liverpool in his early 30s. Sancho in midfield in the middle. That's not really an option, is it, Trav?
Not for me. Yeah, again, you're getting more of the Mason Mount vibes with that. Do you know what I mean? If he's in the thick of things in the midfield battle, getting into tackles and duels. This is what I mean. Like, the biggest thing for me is when you're a midfield player, there's a certain element of it that has like nothing to do with technical ability and being on the ball and your use of the ball. A lot of it is to do with competing in the midfield. How many duels can you win? How many tackles can you win? How much can you run with players? How much can you just compete? And it's like a player like Jadon Sancho, for me, just doesn't fit that mold. He's a very technical player. He's a very creative player, likes to get on the ball, likes to play little combinations, 1-2s with attackers and strikers. He's a forward player. So I just don't see him as a central midfielder at all, Ravi. So I'd be very surprised if Ten Hag went down that route with Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, me too. We said in a lot of streams towards the end of last season, Trav, that you've gone on record saying you're going to give him one more season, or the majority of fans, Man United fans, are going to give.
You don't forget any of my quotes, do you, bro? You keep more.
I keep the receipts.
You've gone on record hearing that too many times. I'm going to have to go for the tapes.
Surely part of this last year, there was going to be finding him a solid position in the team, finding his best position. Because he's a bit like Anthony Martial. Where's his best position? Right, left, central, or as Ravi was just saying, try him as a number 8.
I think United's managers, they do that though. They self-preserve so much. I think with a player like Jadon Sancho, Ten Hag's just going to say, well, that's not my signing. I ain't got to make him work. Do you know what I mean? And if he works, it's a bonus for him. So if it doesn't work, he's not bothered. He can get rid. All he's bothered about is making the players he brings in work. Casemiro, Anthony are the main ones at the moment. And obviously Mason Mount. There's just no way I can see those three being out of the team unless he's like wants to give Mount a period of adaptation, but you shouldn't have to. Do you know what I mean? £60 million, number 7 shirt coming from the Premier League, Champions League winner. There's no way the fans will use any sort of excuse if he doesn't settle within a few months at United.
What kind of price would you be thinking of offloading him for if he was like an £80 million mistake? Talking half price? It's just not gone well for him at all. Does he get in the England squad now?
No. He had a bad year last year, and look, he's got undoubted quality. Like, he hasn't shown it over the past 18 months. But when I saw the signing, I was very surprised by it. I said it instantly, didn't I? I said it to you in the group chat. I'm just not sure where this player is going to play. I didn't see how he fitted into the system because he wanted Frankie de Jong so bad last year. And I was like, I know he's tried to make Eriksen into like the cheap version of de Jong, but Mount's just not that type of player. I was like, where is he going to play? And after one game, people are already saying it. And people are saying it's knee-jerk and you got to give it time. But people could preempt this before he even signed. So for me, it's just not a surprise at all.
Maxine says Rashford has the ability to run through defenders. Absolutely, Maxine. He's top draw. Trav thinks he's going to be utilised off the left as soon as Højlund becomes fit. How much do you think Spurs will test Onana today? Well, he had a big test on Monday night, didn't he? Obviously, Wolves were running riot. And to be fair, did Onana get the man of the match?
Yeah, he did.
Both the teams were just Man United's man of the match because he was immense in that second half.
Yeah, I think Nunes for Wolves as well might have been up there. I'm not sure who got the official man of the match. I know he did for United, but I need to double check that, to be fair. I'm not 100% sure. But in fact, they might have given it to Varane because of the goal or something like that. You know what Sky are like. They just give it to whoever bags them.
Whoever got a goal or an assist, yeah. But obviously, Onana got away with one at the end there.
And now he did.
Now you've seen it in slow-mo and multiple replays, Travis. That's a Stonewall penalty, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, it is. I think Onana, though, in his interview after post-match, he's just such a confident boy. It's water off a duck's back. He just says, when I'm coming for crosses, I take everything out. I'll clear everything out, and he's not going to change. So it's what you want from a goalkeeper. The defence will build their trust with him. They'll be confident with him in between the sticks. And Spurs will test him today, but he's not error-prone, so I don't envisage any problems with Onana today, to be honest.
Right. Maxine says she can't believe, or he, I don't know if you're a Shearer here, I think Maxine's a girl. Can't believe Harry Kane's left for 104 million euros. That 104 million euros is burning a hole in Spurs' pocket. And as Trav said earlier, they're not rushing to spend it. So they're going to be quite measured in the transfer market, it looks like. Travis, we're going to end it in a minute, but not before we give score predictions. Going through some of the comments, we had Josh from True Guna, 3-3. Steve said 4-1 to Spurs. Ravi said 3-2 Spurs. Maxine, if you're still with us, give us a score prediction while Trav gives his prediction.
I'm not getting any love today from the fans out there. It's a comprehensive Spurs clean sweep. I'm going to go for 1-1 today. The reason I'm going for 1-1 is we don't score many goals. We're still improving the way that we're trying to play. Away from home, we struggled against the Big Six last year, and I think Ten Hag will be conscious of that and will want to improve that. So I think he's going to be a little bit cautious today. He's going to tighten up again, whether that's through personnel, system, I'm not sure, but there's just no way what happened Monday can happen today. He won't let that happen. He doesn't let that happen. He does stop things from happening very quickly. So I expect us to tighten up today. I expect Spurs to sort of set pressing traps, get into us early, and I think they'll miss quite a few chances. I think they'll have a few chances, but I think they'll miss quite a few as well, and Spurs aren't the most clinical. So I'm going for a 1-1. I think it's got a draw written all over it, to be fair.
1-1. I'm going to join you. I'm going to go 2-2. Desmond 2-2. Manchester United can win the Champions League. It's a bit early to be drinking, isn't it, Maxine? 4-2 top 10. Not sure what that means. Tottenham 0, Manchester United 3.
Love it, Maxine. Confident United fan. Love it.
There we have it. 1 Man United, I think 3 draws and 2 Spurs wins in the predictions. Right, everyone, thanks for joining us. Remember to hit the like and the subscribe if you're new to the channel. Really appreciate you joining. That's been nearly 50 minutes, Trav.
Perfect.
Considering we said we are going to do a 20-minute stream just on some formations and score predictions. Don't forget to join us in the next one, guys. We might be going live for the Liverpool game at 3. We'll just see if I've got time. So do join us if you're available, and come along and see how the Liverpool new team line up. Endo, I don't think he signed in time to be in the squad, work permit and all that jazz. So I don't think we'll see the new signing. But yeah, other than that, Trav, have a great weekend.
You too,
I may see you at 3 o'clock. Cheers, guys.
Header. But Gerrard!